Hey everyone, today we have a Samsung washing machine that was brought into us by a customer, and the customer was complaining that the unit was not going into the full speed spin mode, leaving the clothes soggy, and when it tried to do that it was banging around a lot, which sounds like one of my ex-girlfriends. But I want to show you how to diagnose this and figure out what's wrong and then take care of it. So I want to show you 2 or 3 things that could be a common cause of problems on this washing machine, not your ex.
To do this repair, you only need one tool, and that is my Irwin 11-in-1 screwdriver. If you don't have a screwdriver, make sure to check the product tags for what I use. Also, you may want to have a good gripping rubber padded glove to hold onto the rods. It makes it a lot easier, and I'll have the gloves I use in the description as well. The first thing that we want to try to see is if the suspension rods are bad on the washing machine. You're going to go ahead and open the lid of the washing machine, and you want to take both of your hands and press down on the top of the sides of the drum as hard as you can. When you press down as hard as you can, let go quickly. If the drum bounces up and down a few times like a basketball, then 100% chance your suspension rods are shot and need replaced. Near the end of the video, I'll have a timestamp to show you what the good rods should look like versus these bad rods, and it's much different. Next, make sure your washing machine is level with a leveler. If a leg has gotten stuck or something else has damaged it to where your machine is not level, it being slightly unleveled can cause it in high spin mode to bang around, causing it to go out of balance and flash that DC error code or otherwise not get your clothes spun properly. This style Samsung washing machine has very wide legs underneath, and you can unscrew them in and out with your hands to level the machine. Now, if this doesn't solve the problem to where it's still shaking a bit, another thing you can consider is anti-vibration pads or even an anti-vibration mat that would help the machine as well. And I'll have a product tag for the mat and individual pads that can be used if you need them, although we did not need them for this machine. Now, to start replacing the rods on the machine, make sure you can access the washing machine from the rear side and that it is powered off and accessible. There are 2 horizontal screws that you'll need to take a Phillips head screwdriver to, and you'll need to unscrew these and remove them from the cabinet. Once you have these 2 screws removed, you can lift up on the rear of the washing machine top to remove it from the chassis. Now, once you've started lifting it up, you're going to pull it forward towards the front of the machine. There are 2 clips on the very front of the washer, but there's also 2 metal fingers that are bent that hold the chassis and lid together. You're going to have to maneuver the lid forward to get the top off, and it's not easy to see how this disconnects from a first-person perspective. Once you have the lid off of the machine, you want to angle it to expose the 4 corners of the washing machine individually to replace the rods. You have the wire harness on the rear of this unit, so you can't fully take it off. You want to just position it to get the rods changed. Now, the rods vary from Samsung model to model. This one needed DC97-16350C rods, which is a typical, common, expensive rod, but I will have a link to the rods in the description. Now, to make this job easier, you want the glove with a strong rubber grip and a long sleeve shirt so you don't get cut on the sharp, jagged metal on the corner that most washing machines have. What you're going to do is reach down into the tub and pull the rod up to allow the plastic top cap to move up and towards the tub itself where the slot is on the corner. Then you're going to go ahead and release the rod down to the bottom of the washer chassis. From here, you're essentially going to repeat the same step on the bottom. You're going to press the suspension rod down to slot it outside of this molded area in the tub itself. This process is really easy on these Samsung washers. With the suspension rod out, you can look and see how this particular rod is super nasty. When I press down on the spring, it's very loose. Sometimes you can refurbish these rods by cleaning all the gunk off and repacking it with new grease, which helps out with the dampening aspect. So if you have a minor issue with the washer banging around, it may solve it with grease, but these springs themselves are in very poor shape, so I don't think refurbishing these are an option. So what I'm going to do is take the new rod and basically repeat the same steps in reverse. And I'm going to press it into the bottom of the tub and then pull up so it secures past that slot in the tub. And then I'm going to pull it up even further using that rubber grip glove into the top of the corner housing, and now the rod is fully installed. Then I'm going to take the washer lid and angle it to replace the next rod, which is the front left rod on this washer. You can do it in any pattern really. We're going to repeat the same exact steps. Pull the rod up and out on the corner slot, then push down on the rod to the bottom of the washing machine, which you can't see on the tub necessarily, and remove it from the slot on the tub itself. Again, this second rod is in really bad shape as well. They're all super nasty. Now we will go ahead and start replacing the right back rod. If you were looking at it from the front, you're going to go ahead and maneuver the washing machine lid top again, but on the rear side, it's a little bit more difficult because you have less room to work with because that wire harness is right on the back right corner of the unit, so there's a little bit less room to maneuver. Once you have the lid in the proper place, the suspension rod has a plastic clip that connects the pressure hose assembly to the rod that goes down to the bottom of the tub. You need to unhook this clip from the rod. And in the case of my specific washing machine here, the pressure hose was wrapped around the suspension rod, so I had to uncoil the rod gently from the pressure hose assembly. This took a lot longer to do than pretty much the rest of the entire video. But once the rod was free, you're just going to go and insert the new rod into place yet again, but make sure that that pressure hose clip is snapped back onto the rod. Now we have 3 of 4 of the rods done. Next, you're going to move the washer lid one last time to give you room on the back left side if you were looking from the front. Now this one can be kind of difficult, and I want to show you how, so I'm going to go ahead and take the back plate off to show you what it looks like on the camera since you can't see it easily from the top down. There are 4 screws on the back plate that I'm taking off and then 1 on the wire harness cover to the top left. With this last rod, I'm going to go ahead and remove it, but you see that it's quite close to the drain pump system on this particular washing machine, and yours may look kind of like this. You pull the rod out exactly the same way for the 4th time, down to the bottom and then out, but I found that putting the rod in this corner was much harder because it wanted to keep hitting the pump. So just make a note of this when you're installing it because you could get that rod jammed near the pump and you don't want to press too hard because you won't want to do anything to damage the drain pump or its housing. So be very delicate here. Now you want to go ahead and put the washer top lid back on. You're going to square it up and then insert it back on the same way. You're going to put it slotted in the front first and then push it towards the rear. You need to slot it back onto these metal fingers, and that is honestly not very easy to do from a first-person perspective. So again, see how I do it on the camera because it was a little bit delicate to do this. Now with everything done with the rods, let's go ahead and test the tub with the new rods. I pressed down as hard as I could, and on the camera, you can't tell that I'm even moving the tub much at all. It looks like I'm not trying to move it, but I pressed down as hard as I could on this, and it shows that the tub, when I release, is far less likely to move at all, and we know that we've solved the problem. But let's say you've replaced the rods and you're still having an issue, or you don't think the rods are bad. On multiple Samsung washing machines, we've run into this problem to where you go ahead and replace the rods and there's still a nagging issue. One final check you want to do is to check the bottom of the tub itself for the spider bracket that holds the gear case onto the inner tub. To get to this, you'll need to open the washer lid and then remove the pulsator cap with a flat-bladed screwdriver, which is on my Irwin 11-1. This is a plastic plate, but many are metal with a metal cap, but they all come apart basically the same way. Once you have the cap off, I used a 11mm deep well socket on an impact gun to remove the screw that holds this plate on. With the screw off, you want to now take the wash plate off, but this step can be very, very difficult. I have 2 or 3 videos on how you want to remove this if it's very difficult. In this case, I just took a trampoline spring tool that we've milled down with a thinner edge, and I was able to pull this plate off within about 5 seconds. It was very easy on this particular washing machine. Next, underneath, you want to look at the metal that holds the tub on. This is an entire metal style that just has a few holes in it that is uniform in design, but many styles of Samsung washing machines have 6 large metal fingers that hold the tub in place. What you want to look for are weird holes that looks like the tub is rotting or worn through the metal that could cause the tub to go off center in a high-speed spin. If you see these weird holes to where the metal's been eaten through, usually through laundry detergent or fabric softener, the only way to solve this is by replacing the bracket. But oftentimes the cost to do this is so excessive that a tech or myself would just say get a new washing machine. But these are all the ways to help you solve your Samsung washing machine banging around. The rods definitely helped our problem, but now it spins out perfectly, and now the clothes are spun dry properly, and I hope this video has helped you. Have a great day.